Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. My name is Arman and welcome back to my channel. So guys, today in this video we're gonna learn about the section 200 to 210 of the CRPC in this video. Okay, so do stick to the video till the end. Okay, so guys, the topic is the complaint to the magistrate. First we'll see the chapter 15. Okay, so chapter 15 talks about the complaints to the magistrate, and it contains section 200 to 203. Okay, so first of all we need to know what is complaint. So complaint is defining under section 2D of the criminal procedure code. So what is complaint? Complaint is an allegation. Okay, complaint is an allegation made orally or in writing to the magistrate with a view to taking cognizance or with a view to take action against the offense that has been committed by so and so person. So that is a complaint. Okay, very simple. Section 2D allegation. There is an allegation about a person. Okay, it is allegation about a person and it is towards the magistrate. It is to the magistrate and it is either made orally or in writing. Okay, it is either orally or it is made in writing. So this is and with a view to taking action. Okay, to take action. So it is an allegation made about the person towards the magistrate to take action regarding the offense that has been committed by a person, and the complaint is either made orally or in writing. Okay, so this is the complaint this is the definition of the complaint. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you now what is complaint. Now we will see the provisions regarding section 200 to 203. Okay, so section 200, examination of complaint. Okay, so it is talking about the section under section 200. So what is this examination of the complaint? I'm telling you is that, like, when any complaint is made to the magistrate, okay, either made orally or in writing, regarding the commission of an offense, that some person has committed an offense and I am going to the magistrate and I am filing a complaint against that person. Okay, so there are two modes of filing, going to the court. Okay, there is two modes of going before the court for any case. Okay, so number one, before then this we need to know section 154. So under section 154 it deals with the FIR. Okay, I'll make a video on this topic in separately, but today I am starting directly from section 200. Okay, so there is a two mode. Okay, so 154 and 200. Okay, 200, there is a complaint to the magistrate. Okay, examination of the complaint. Okay, so under section 200 and under section 154, and FIR is concerned to the police. Okay, it is concerned to the police and it is to the magistrate. Okay, and FIR talks about the only cognizable offenses. Okay, in case of the cognizable offenses, the person has the right, I mean a victim, whoever the person filing an FIR, they will go to the police first, and through the police will investigate the matter and the thing will go to the court. Okay, so that is the another procedure, that is in case of the cognizable offense. But a person has a whenever any offense is committed against a person, okay, this is Mr. A, okay, and any offense has been committed to him, so he can either go through the FIR or he can go through the complaint to the magistrate. And under the section 200 it is generally deals with the non-cognizable offenses. So what is cognizable offense, what is non-cognizable offense, we'll discuss in some other video. Okay, so in short, the cognizable offense means the offense of the serious nature. Okay, serious nature, and non-cognizable offenses are those offenses which are less serious in comparison to the cognizable offenses. It's like that, in a simple term you can understand in that way. Okay, so suppose a person has suffered certain kind of offense has been committed against A, so he can either go through the FIR, that is the police section 154, or he can go to the magistrate through the complaint. Okay, so magistrate can take cognizance for the cognizable as well as the non-cognizable offenses, but mostly non-cognizable offenses is dealt by the the complaint will go to the magistrate. Okay, so this is the case. Now we will see the section 200. Okay, so what is section 200? It is like that, like whenever a complaint is filed before the magistrate, under section 200, whenever the complaint is filed before the magistrate by any person, okay, then the complainant first of all, we'll see the flow. So first of all, that the complainant we shall be examined on oath. Okay, if it is made orally. Okay, if the complaint is made orally, then it should be examined. It should be examined on oath. It should be examined on oath. All right, and if there is any witness, then witness shall also be it's a shall. Okay, this is really mandatory thing. Okay, it shall also be examined. Okay, examined, and whatever the complaint they have narrated towards the magistrate, and that shall be reduced in writing. Okay, that shall be reduced in writing. Okay, this is the second procedure. So that shall be reduced in writing. Okay, and like examination is done on oath and reduced in writing. Okay, and it should be reduced in writing, and third step is that and that should be signed. Okay, that should be signed by the complainant, witness and magistrate. Okay, so the three person has to sign the complaint. Okay, if there is a complainant and magistrate only, then magistrate and complainant will sign the complaint, or if there is any presence of witness, then witness also has to sign the complaint. Okay, so this is the procedure under section 200. So there is a proviso for section 200 is that the examination of the witnesses is not necessary if it is made by the public servant who is acting. Okay, if it is made by the public servant in the discharge, public servant or court, or by a court. So here the public servant means any person working under the government salary. So that is the public servant. So in the discharge of his duty, if any complaint filed by him, then he need not be examined on oath. Okay, and the court means if the court the same case has been going on in another court, the court can transfer that case to the another court to try that case in that court. So that kind of thing it is talking about. So if it is made by the public servant then or the court, then it need not be examined on oath. And another proviso is that if the complaint is complaint under section 192. Okay, 192. So what is 192? Under section 192, a chief judicial magistrate can transfer the cases to the another any magistrate subordinate to him. Okay, any magistrate subordinate to him. CJM can transfer the case any magistrate subordinate to him under section 192. And if the complaint has already been examined by the the presiding officer, like chief judicial magistrate has already examined the complainant and witnesses, then and he later magistrate, whoever the court he will transfer subordinate presiding officer, he need not has to examine the complainant and the witnesses again. Okay, so that which means to say that the later magistrate will carry forward the matter without examining the thing. Okay, issue the process, issue of the process, summon, witnesses, all these things, summons, warrant, all these things will go on. Okay, so that is under section 200. So this is all about 200. Now we will see the 201. Okay, this 200 is really important and many questions come from this topic. Okay, so do make a proper note on this topic. Okay, so under now we will discuss about the section 201. Section 201. So section 201 talks about when the magistrate is not competent. Is not competent to try. Okay. So if the section 201 talks about the when the magistrate is not competent to take cognizance. Okay. So what happens in this case, whenever a complaint is filed before the magistrate, and if the magistrate sees the matter is not is to be tried by some other court, then what the court will do, the magistrate will, number one, it will return, it will not reject. Okay, there are questions I have seen in the exam, like options will be given like dismissed, rejected, all those things, but it will not be rejected. Okay, the petition, when the magistrate do not have the jurisdiction or do not have the power to take cognizance of the particular offense, then what he will do, that he will return the complaint. He will return the complaint to be filed to the particular court, and with the endorsement. Okay, he will give endorsement to that complaint. Okay, endorsement with the endorsement. Okay, so this is number 1 point. And number 2 point is that if, and it is about the written complaint. Okay, this is about the written, this is a written complaint. Okay, this written complaint. And when, if it is not a written complaint, if it is made orally, then what the magistrate will do, the magistrate will ask the complainant to go to the proper court. Okay, proper authority. So this is go ask to go to proper authority, proper court. Okay, so this is the two procedure. When the magistrate do not have the power to take cognizance of the particular offense, or it shall be or if it is tried, should be tried by some other court, then he will either return the complaint if it is made in writing, or he will ask the complainant to go to the particular court who has the jurisdiction or power to entertain the case. Okay, so this is section 202. I hope it is clear. Now we'll see section 2. So section 202 talks about the postponement of issue of process. Okay, so guys, under this section 202, what happens, like the magistrate may postpone the issue of the process. So what is the issue of the process? The issue of the process means the issuing the summon or the warrant to the accused person when after receiving the complaint under section 200. Okay, so generally what happens, the court will issue the summon or the warrant after taking the complaint from the complainant about the offense. Okay, but sometimes the court is not satisfied with the complainant, that though the court has taken the complaint, but court is not satisfied. The court want to know little more about it, because what happens, if the court issues the summon or the warrant, then obviously that will harm the other person, accused person. Okay, accused person, that will harm the liberty of the accused person. So in order to prevent any kind of miscarriage of justice, the court may postpone the issue of the process. Okay, and the reason behind this is that, like, when the magistrate wants to investigate the matter by himself. Okay, to investigate the matter by himself, or direct the police officer, or any other person, direct any police officer or any other person to investigate, to find out whether there is a sufficient ground for the proceeding. Okay, to ascertain whether there is a prima facie case or not. Okay, so that in that case the court may postpone the issue of the process. Okay, so now however, there is a proviso, is that, like, no such direction is given in case when the court is when the offense is exclusively trial by the court of session. Then in that case no such direction can be made by the magistrate. Okay, so if it is if the offense is to be trial by exclusively by the court of session, then in that case what the magistrate will do, the magistrate will examine the complainant. Okay, examine the complainant and ask all his witnesses and record and examine them on oath, and that shall be reduced in writing, and that will be committed to the court of session. Okay, it is the reason behind this is that, like, if the case has already been filed before the magistrate, then it will, so that it will save the time of the court of session. That what is the reason? Because sometimes what happens, like, the if the person goes to the magistrate first and he will say something different, and when he goes to the court of session he will say something different. So in order to avoid those kind of situations, what the magistrate will do, the magistrate will take the examine the complainant as well as the witnesses, and everything will be reduced in writing, and that the court will commit the case to the court of session. Okay, very simple. So this is about the section 202. Now we will see the section 203. Okay, so it talks about the dismissal of complaint. So under what ground the magistrate can dismiss the petition, dismiss the complaint? Okay, so that the reason is, like, if after investigation by the magistrate or by any other person directed by the court or by the police officer, if it is found, court has found that there is no prima facie case, the case is false, in that case the magistrate will dismiss the petition. So this is only talks about discussing under section 203. Okay, so this is the process. So this is the complaint, this is the provision regarding the complaints to the magistrate. So after when the complaint is filed under section 200 and under section 201, what will the court will do? If the court do not have the jurisdiction or not competent to try, then he will ask the complainant to go to the particular court. And under section 201 202, what it says, the postponement of the issue of the process, the court will take some time to investigate the matter or whether there is if it is a genuine case or not. So that is under section 202. And if 201 and 202 is satisfied, that means the court is competent to try, then and 202, after investigating the matter, the court has find out that yes, there is a prima facie case, then the court will issue the process. But if the court has found that there is no scope, or there is no or it is a false case, then in that case the court will dismiss the petition under section 203. So this is all about the complaint to the magistrate, chapter 15. Okay, now we will discuss about the commencement of the proceeding. I hope till here everything is clear. So in the chapter 16 talks about the commencement of the proceeding before the magistrate. So section 204 to 210 deals with the commencement of the proceeding before magistrate. We have seen right before now that under section 200 to 203 talks about the complaints to the magistrate. So when the complaint is filed to the magistrate under section 200, the magistrate will examine the complainant and the witnesses, and after that, if the magistrate is satisfied that yes, there is a prima facie case, or after investigation under section 203, the magistrate is satisfied that the court has reason to believe that there is a sufficient ground for the issue of the proceeding, then in that case the court will issue the process. So what is the issue of the process? I have already told you that court will either issue a summons or warrant. Okay, so now under section 204, it is the issue of process. So under this, what will happen? After taking the cognizance, the court is of opinion that there is a ground for the issue of the process, then court will either issue a summons. The court will issue a summons in a summons case. Or court will issue a warrant in a warrant case. Okay, issue a summons or warrant as the case may be. Okay, so here if it is a summons case, the court will issue the summons, and if it is a warrant case, the court will either issue a summons or the warrant as the case may be. Okay, it is not necessary that in the case of the warrant case only the warrant shall have to be issued. It's nothing like that. When the attendance or appearance of the accused person before the magistrate can be done with the summons only, the magistrate need not issue the warrant. Okay, when the summon or the warrant is filed, served to the accused person, and it shall be enclosed with the copy it shall be enclosed with a copy of the complaint. Okay, it shall be accompanied with the complaint. It shall be accompanied with the copy of the complaint. Okay, so now if the court is of opinion that the summons shall be issued or the warrant shall be issued, then the warrant shall be accompanied with the copy of the complaint. In order to help the accused person to know the reason that he is being called for so and so reason, so the court will issue the copy of the complaint along with the summons, okay, or the warrant. So one more thing is there, that no summons or warrant, okay, no summons or warrant shall be issued, okay, no warrant or summons shall be issued before the list of the witnesses of the prosecution being filed. Okay, what is the prosecution? Now the question is, what is the prosecution? Prosecution means the person who will defend the complainant, okay, who will conduct the case of the complainant, okay, that is called prosecution. So no summon or the warrant shall be issued by the court before the list of the witnesses of the prosecution has been filed before the court. Okay, so after the list of the witnesses are being filed before the court, and the court is of opinion that there is a reason for the commencement of the proceeding, issue of the process, then the court will issue a summon or the warrant as the case may be, and the summon or the warrant shall be accompanied with the copy of the complaint. Okay, like we have seen in the CPC that whenever the summon is served, along with the summon the court will also provide the copy of the plaint. So this section 204 is really important section for the issuance of the process, because the court cannot just directly issue the process against the so and so person to answer the case because certain allegation has been made towards him. Okay, the court has to act very cautiously, issue the process, okay, very cautiously issue the process under section 204. Okay, otherwise that will disturb the liberty of the accused person. Okay, so that's why the court has to go through the procedure. The court has to go through the procedure that is given under section 200 to 203. Okay, so under this provision the court has to go through all of it, and after going through all of it, the court is of opinion that yes, there is a reason for the issue of the process, then the court can issue the process. Okay, but one thing is there, like court cannot refuse. Okay, the court cannot refuse merely on the ground that whatever the complaint has been filed against the accused person, that will result to no conviction. Okay, even if there will be no conviction or there will be nothing, but still if there is a reason, then the court has to issue the process. So this is what is dealing under section 204. So there is an important case, I think you all are aware of it. So this case is really important, Nupur Talwar versus CBI. So in this case, what the court has said, and this is the Arushi murder case. Okay, so in this case the court has said that while issuing a summon or the warrant, court has to write a detailed order. Okay, that this is the thing. The court do not have to give any explanation. What the court has to do, issue a summon or the warrant as the case may be, along with that a copy of the complaint. That's it. Okay, so this is under section 204. Okay, now we will see section 205, and this is really important section. Okay, really important chapter 16 and 15 is really important. Now section 205, so it is talks about a dispensation of the accused, for appearance before the court. Okay, so section 205, it talks about the dispense, when the court can dispense the attendance of the accused person by his pleader. Okay, so there are in certain circumstances the court may certain circumstances, like if the case is of nature that like the attendance of the accused is not that necessary, so and if the accused has some reason, the accused is either sick or some problem is happening to the accused, then the court may while issuing the summon, the court may dispense the presence or the appearance of the accused person by his pleader. So that is dealing under section 205 subsection 1. Okay, by his pleader, by his pleader. Okay, by his pleader. Then comes section 205 subsection 2. It talks about that, however, the court has already dispensed the attendance of the prosecution as attendance of the accused person by his pleader under subsection 1, but if in the middle of the case, whenever it is required that the the accused shall be present before the court to answer some questions, then in that case the court can issue require the presence of the accused person before the court. Okay, no matter whether they already has passed the dispensation order. All right, so this is under section 205. Okay, very simple. So guys, section 206 talks about the special summons in case of petty offenses. Okay, so it is a really simple thing. Okay, if you read the sections 206, then it is very lengthy. Okay, but I'll very simply I'll tell you that. So it talks about the petty offenses. The petty offenses are those offenses which are of the compoundable nature, compoundable cases. Okay, so in that case the punishment is, if the punishment is less than, I mean, the imprisonment, and that is not a rigorous. Okay, it's a simple imprisonment that is up to 3 months. Okay, not more than 3 months, up to 3 months, or fine, or with fine only, that is up to 1000 rupees, up to 1000 rupees, or both. Okay, so in 3 things. Okay, if the imprisonment is like 3 months only, or the fine is 1000 rupees only, or both, so in those kind of offenses will be called the petty offenses. So in that case, generally what happens, the accused pleads guilty. Okay, so in that case, when the accused think there is a reason that the accused will plead guilty, then the court will issue a special summon to that accused person, that like these are the things they, like so and so amount you have to pay to the court to, if you want to plead guilty, all that thing. Then it is not necessary that the accused person to appear before the magistrate. He can send anyone to the court to pay the certain fees to the certain court at a certain date. Okay, so that's the case of the special summon of the petty offenses. Okay, very simple, no complexity is there. Okay, it's just that if the punishment is imprisonment is less than 3 months or up to 3 months, and the punishment and the fine is up to 1000 rupees, or the fine, or the both, then in that case the court will issue the special summon, or if there is a probability that the accused will generally plead guilty. Okay, however, it does not include the cases under the Motor Vehicle Act. Okay, so this is about the section 206, very simple. Okay, now we will see the section 207. So guys, section 207 talks about the supply to the accused person copies of the statement, documents and police report. Okay, so section 207, under this section what happens, like when the proceeding is instituted on the police report. Okay, generally what happens, the police there is 2 mode of institution of the suit. That is, one is institution of the case is that like either under section 200 or under section 154. Okay, but sometimes what happens, the case is instituted to the police only, and that is through the FIR 154. But after taking the cognizance by the police and everything has been done by the police, then police has find out that the case is not cognizable. Okay, the case is non-cognizable. Then in that case the police will give that report to the magistrate, and the magistrate will try the case. Okay, so in that case, investigate the case. Okay, so in that case what will happen, that is discussing under section 207. So in case of the case is instituted through the police report, then whatever the time the court has received the police report, the court shall have to issue at free of cost the copies of the statement, documents and police report to the accused person. Okay, so what are those documents, I'll tell you now. So first of all, the court has to give the copy of the police report. Okay, police report of the police report. Number two is that like copy of FIR 154. And number 3, Number 3 talks about the statement recorded. Statement, we know that what is a statement under section. Statement recorded, I'll make a different video on it. Recorded under section 161. The police will record the statement under section 161. The statement recorded under 161 is not admissible under the court, right? We know that. So I'll discuss about that thing later, okay, in some other video. And number 4 that the confessional statement, if any, confessional statement if any, statement under section 164. Okay, so who will record the confessional statement under section 164? It will be recorded by the magistrate. Okay, so what will happen, right? The moment the accused person is arrested by the police, within 24 hours the police has to produce the accused person before the magistrate, right? So the moment the magistrate, the accused person is produced before the magistrate, what will the magistrate, so in that case, if any kind of confession is made by that accused person, then the accused person, so that statement will be recorded by the magistrate, okay, in writing. And so and if there is any kind of a statement as such, then the copy of such statement shall have to be given to that accused person. Okay, then number 5, so any other document relevant to the topic, okay, and provided that the magistrate, after pursuing any such part of his statement as is referred to in clause 3, considering that the reason to give the police officer the request to direct the copy of the part of the statement or such portion thereof as the magistrate think proper shall be furnished to the accused. Okay, so so apart from this, okay, like police report, FIR, statement recorded under 161, 164, or any other document which will be helpful or which will be required to be given to the accused person, so that he can he can prepare for the defense, so that he can prepare for his defense. So any other and apart from this, any other document presents, then the court has to furnish as soon as possible to the accused person. Okay, so another proviso is that, like, if the contents of the documents are very voluminous, okay, like in some other cases the police report can be 10,000 pages, 5,000 pages, so it is not physically not possible for the court to take the printout of every report and give to the accused person. So in that case, what will the court will do? The court will permit to look at the documents either by the accused or by his pleader. Okay, so it's simple. So this is under section 207. Now we will see the section 208. So guys, section 208 talks about the supply of the copies of the statement documents to the accused in other cases triable exclusively by the court of session. Okay, all right, so this is section 208. So we have just seen in the section 207 that the issue of the document to the accused person, if the case is made through the police on a police report. Okay, so that is about the police report, and that is in the proper court. Okay, but section 208 talks about if the case is made to the magistrate and he has examined and everything is done. Okay, and before issuing the summon, the court has find out that the case is exclusively tried by the court of session. Then in that case, the magistrate will furnish the copy of the statement recorded under section 200 and statement or confession, if any, recorded under section 161 or 164, or any document any document produced before the magistrate on which the prosecution proposes to rely. So copy of all of this has to be furnished to the accused. Okay, furnished to the accused. However, there is a proviso that if the content of the documents are very voluminous, then in that case, instead of furnishing the copy of the documents, the court will allow those documents to be inspected by the pleader or by the accused personally. Okay, in the court itself. All right, so this is under section 208. Now we will see the 209. So section 209, it talks about the commitment of the case to the police court of session. Okay, so whenever the case is instituted either on the police report or on any otherwise, so in that case what the court will do, the court will issue the process, and after issuing the process, the accused is brought before the magistrate, and when the accused is brought before the magistrate, the court has find out that the offense is exclusively triable by the court of sessions, and in that case the court will, what the court has to do, court will commit the cases to the court of session after relying the provision of section 207 and 208. So what is 207? It is the supply of the document, right? 207 and 208, supply of the document to the accused. So commit the case to the accused, commit the case to the court of session. That is number 1 point. Okay. Number 2 point is that subject to the provision of this code relating to the bail, remand the accused to the custody during and until the conclusion of the trial. So what will be the position of the accused person, whether the accused will be on the bail or will be in the remand or will be in the custody, what will be the provisions? Everything has to be given in that report. Okay, in that before committing the case, everything has to be given in that report. And apart from that, number 3 point is that, like, any document which can be produced as evidence, the court has to furnish that thing to the court. Okay, furnish that thing while committing the case. Okay, and last point is that last point is that like while committing the case, the magistrate court has to give the information to the public prosecutor that the court has committed the case to the court of session. So this is under section 209. So now we will see section 210. Okay, 210. So what is it talks about? Section 2010 talks about the procedure to be followed when there is a complaint case and the police investigation in respect of the same offense. Okay, so it talks about the procedure. Okay, so guys, section 210, the point number 1, it says that a procedure to be followed when there is a complaint case and the investigation in respect of the same offense. So that means, like, if there is a complaint case, okay, complaint has been filed before the magistrate and the same thing has been investigated by the police officer. The two things are going on parallelly. So in that case, so after the magistrate comes to know that the police investigation is also under operation. So in that case, what the court will do? The court will stay the proceeding. Okay, the complaint stay the proceeding that is going under section 200. Okay, to stay the proceeding and require the police report. So require the police report. Okay, so that's number 1 point, require the police report to be furnished. And number 2 point is that section 2, it says that when there is a police report, okay, the magistrate has taken the cognizance on the police report that is filed under section 173. Okay, section 173, on the basis of the police report, the magistrate has taken the cognizance under section cognizance. So in that case, and the court has find out the accused person is the accused in another complaint case also. So in that case, what the court will do, court will either try the case together or inquire into the case. Okay, or if the court will conduct the case as a case that is filed through the police report only. Okay, the court will not entertain the case as a separately, as either one is a complaint case and another is a police report case. Okay, the court will not do that. What the court will do, the court will entertain the case, both the cases together as a police report. Okay, very simple. Point number 2. And now the point number 3, case the magistrate has found that whatever the person was accused in that police investigation is not related to the complaint case. So in that case, or the magistrate do not take the cognizance of the complaint police report under section 173. So in that case, the court will resume the previously stated proceeding. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, that this is the procedure of the commencement of the proceeding before magistrate. So alright guys, this is the end of this video. I hope I can make you understand about this topic. Do let me know in the comment section, and do hit the like button if you find this video helpful, and please subscribe to my channel if you are new to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.